headlines of this hour on VTV News. State President meets with representative agencies in the U.S. And residents in KHANH province find ways to cope with heavy rain and floods. And in our world news, UN urges immediate humanitarian ceasefire in Gaza.
Broadcasting from Hanoi, the capital of Vietnam. VTV News starts right now.
Hello, it is 3 p.m. local time and you are watching VTV News. I'm Huyền Trân with the top stories. State President Võ Văn Thưởng and his spouse met with Vietnamese representative agencies in the U.S. The state leader emphasized that the country has achieved great success in its foreign affairs activities. Since Party General Secretary Nguyễn Phú Trọng historic visit to China, many of Vietnam's foreign affairs events have garnered international attention. The upcoming APEC summit presents a significant opportunity to enhance and strengthen cooperation between Vietnam and numerous countries worldwide. Therefore, the state president has provided specific instructions to each Vietnamese representative agencies in the United States. The Vietnamese embassy in Washington and the two consulates general have been tasked with actively implementing the joint statement on a comprehensive strategic partnership and promoting Vietnam-U.S. bilateral relations, particularly in high-tech field. Additionally, the country's permanent mission to the United Nations have been urged to further consolidate and enhance its role in multilateral mechanisms and forums. Prime Minister Phạm Minh Chính chaired a conference to discuss measures for rapidly and sustainably boosting Vietnam's tourism development. The conference, held online, connected with 63 provinces and cities across the country. Over the past 10 months, Vietnam's tourism sector has shown improvement, with the total number of international tourists reaching approximately 10 million and domestic tourists reaching nearly 100 million. However, the number of international visitors is only 69% compared to pre-pandemic levels, while domestic visitors are showing signs of slowing down. During the conference, Prime Minister Phạm Minh Chính emphasized the need for closer collaboration between ministries, branches, and localities in the Vietnamese tourism industry. Moving forward, the Prime Minister proposed the development of a comprehensive, sustainable, and highly effective tourism ecosystem in Vietnam. This includes strengthening the links between relevant industry stakeholders, building a value chain that connects national and global tourism. The National Assembly Standing Committee met on Wednesday morning to discuss the draft law on forces participating in protecting security and order at the grassroots level. The committee agreed with the report of the National Defense and Security Committee, stating that the revisions made after the fifth session have ensured the completeness and qualification of the draft law for submission for approval in the Friday session. Furthermore, the National Assembly Standing Committee provided comments on the draft resolution regarding the supervision of the three national target programs. These programs include new rural construction, sustainable poverty reduction, and socio-economic development for ethnic groups and mountainous areas. The committee plans to establish a special mechanism to address the undispersed capital of the national target programs and aims to submit it in the upcoming session. Vietnamese coffee exports generated $4.08 billion in revenue during the 2022 to 2023 harvest season, marking a 3.4% increase compared to the previous year. This growth can be attributed to the rise in prices. According to the Vietnam Coffee and Cocoa Association VTV4, this is the highest revenue achieved to date. VTV4 predicts that the 2023 to 2024 coffee crops will be harvested later than the previous season, resulting in a 10% decrease in the supply of new crops. Additionally, the record-breaking heat in Brazil is expected to cause a significant decline in coffee output, resulting in a shortage in global supply. These factors will contribute to the increase in coffee export prices. Currently, Vietnam ranks 6th in terms of coffee farming area and is the second largest coffee producer in the world. The Central Highland provinces are known as the main coffee growing areas in central Vietnam. However, Sơn La province is considered the major coffee production area in the northern part of the country. Currently, the coffee industry in Sơn La province ranks 5th in terms of output nationwide. And in recent years, the province has been actively collaborating with farmers to produce sustainable and effective coffee products, ensuring a high quality supplied to the market.
Coffee growing areas in Sơn La province have implemented a range of solutions to improve the quality of their products. These include strategic planning, replanting, and adhering to sustainable production standards required by international markets. Coffee growers are the key beneficiaries of these changes and can directly experience their positive impact.
We received training on how to care for coffee trees, including fertilization techniques, and how to practice sustainable harvesting by only picking ripe fruits. Although it requires a lot of time, this approach yields high economic returns as we can sell our products at higher prices. Coffee trees serve as the primary source of income for my family, and our love for coffee runs deep.
Our goal is to develop Sơn La coffee products in a sustainable manner, ensuring that they meet various clean, green, and organic standards.
Currently, Vietnam exports coffee to over 80 countries and territories. The European Union, EU, remains Vietnam's largest coffee export market, representing 38% of the country's total coffee export volume. As such, meeting the demands of this market is crucial for the coffee production areas of Sơn La.
To comply with EU deforestation laws, Sơn La province has been gradually developing Sơn La coffee in a green and sustainable direction to prevent deforestation. Currently, some coffee areas in Sơn La have received UTZ or 4C certifications.
Vietnam's coffee industry is endeavoring to adopt international production standards while also developing national standards that align with international ones. This is the main objective of restructuring the coffee industry in the era of extensive international integration.
The export of ornate spiny lobsters to China has experienced significant delays due to the Chinese authorities' requirement of origin traceability documents. The Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development has stated that China has added ornate spiny lobsters to the list of endangered wild animals that require protection. Since May of this year, China has prohibited the capture, use, and trade of spiny lobsters. And as a result, in order to continue exporting spiny lobsters to China, businesses must provide evidence that the lobsters were not directly caught from the sea, but instead were farmed using a specific process that did not exploit any natural sources. Now let's take a look at the foreign exchange rate of today, November 15. Coming up next on VTV News. Residents in KHANH province find ways to cope with heavy rain and floods. And Vietnamese workers fall victim to forced labor scams abroad. Welcome back to VTV News. In KHANH province, the downstream area of Dinh River, Ninh Hoa town has been experiencing flooding as a result of heavy rains. The local residents have been forced to find various ways to adapt to the increasingly unpredictable weather conditions. More on this in the following story.
Despite only raining for half a day, numerous roads in the village are flooded. The elders in this village become anxious whenever it rains. Nhang Hao is situated in the middle of a rice field in Hội Điền village. This is why people like her, despite their financial difficulties, have elevated the floor. As a result, over the past 6 years, even when flood water rise, the house remained unaffected by flooding.
I was affected by floods, and as a result, the state provided me with over $800 to raise the floor of my house. This measure ensures that even if there is flooding, it will not enter the house.
Not saved and borrowed a total of $6,100 last year to build this new house. As compared to the old floor, the new floor is now 1.4 meters higher. This means that the entire family no longer has to worry about flooding.
It helps me avoid the need to pack up and escape from the flood.
In addition, Saad has also prepared this boat as precautionary measure. These preparations have become routine at the start of the rainy season for households in the downstream area of the Dinh River, located in Ninh Hòa, Khánh Hòa province. Whenever there is heavy rain and water flows downstream, a number of residential areas downstream are immediately flooded.
People in this area raise their foundations and floors to ensure that their houses are above the flood level. They also prepare fresh water to mitigate the impact of prolonged flooding.
It's been proven that in places that frequently suffer from floods, the proactive response of each household is an important way to be able to live safely when floods are complicated.
Heavy rain in the central region has caused landslides in many localities, especially in mountainous areas. In Quảng Ngãi, heavy rain has caused landslide in numerous mountain areas, and the situation threatens people's lives and property, cutting off vital traffic routes. In addition, heavy rain also causes local flooding in low-lying areas. Meanwhile, in Quảng Nam province, heavy rain also caused landslide, demolishing houses in Đại Lộc district and causing traffic jams in the mountainous districts of South Trà My and North Trà My. The disaster has also caused many other adjacent houses at risk. Some households have been evacuated urgently, and in the afternoon of November 14, river levels rose rapidly, and some traffic routes also began to collapse, causing traffic disruption on some mountain roads. Currently, localities are proactively preparing forces and means to be ready to respond. Dangerous areas are being monitored, and travel warnings for the public and vehicles are being issued. The relocation and evacuation of people in critical areas were carried out urgently. Many Vietnamese workers are promised jobs in neighboring countries, such as working in offices or kitchens, with a monthly salary of nearly $1.2 thousand US. However, they are often deceived and end up being taken to criminal locations in bordering areas. This unfortunate reality has affected many Vietnamese workers who believed in online advertisements.
This was the last text message sent by one of the victims. After 6 months of work, he and a group of 7 Vietnamese workers decided to flee and return home. Unfortunately, while attempting to escape, he was shot and died. These images depict the location where he was shot. They were taken by his older brother when he came to claim his body.
It's too painful, the price to pay is too high. My brother had to pay this price. I beg people not to follow this way of making money.
The victim and his friends went abroad to work after seeing an ad on social media. They were hired to work as kitchen assistants and computer typists for over $1,000 US. They were able to book their air tickets, were provided with passports, and had their travel visas paid for. According to police investigation documents, this is the route that the workers must take. They have to travel in phases over several days and nights, using various means of transportation. Groups of Vietnamese workers are transported to the border river with Thailand and Myanmar, where they cross by boat. Their destination is an area with numerous high-rise buildings, guarded to prevent outsiders from entering. One of the Vietnamese labor brokers is mentioned in the documents. He receives $205 US for each worker he brings over. The informant stated that the workers would be trained to work for gangs led by foreigners.
The workers were handcuffed, and electric shock pliers were used on them. They were brutally beaten.
My son went abroad without any protection. Unfortunately, he passed away without being able to earn any money.
According to the police investigation, when the workers arrived, they initially signed a one-year contract with the companies. If the contract was not completed, they were required to pay a fine of $8,000 to $12,000 per person. Additionally, they had to pay an additional $2,000 for the cost of returning to Vietnam, as all the workers' documents were not legal. Currently, based on initial findings, this group consists of 7 individuals acting as brokers, while the leader remains abroad.
After 4 months, residents in Dong Thap province have begun harvesting their floating fish farms this year. Despite forecasts of smaller floods in the Mekong Delta compared to last year, people have still achieved a bumper crop, demonstrating the effectiveness of field fish farming as a model.
On the first morning of harvesting, farmers were able to catch over 160 kilograms of fish. Despite the forecast of small floods this year, the local residents are still delighted to gather the fish from their fields.
Floating fish farming is fun. Everyone enjoys it despite this year's smaller yield.
This year, the Ecological Cooperative has established approximately 20 hectares of floating fish farms, housing a wide variety of fish. Additionally, it has received 300 kilograms of fish fingerlings from the Worldwide Fund for Nature.
Thanks to the support of the WWF, we have a variety of fish to choose from. This year, I wanted to raise a new type of fish, which is even more helpful for me.
Dong Thap farmers also received technical support to increase efficiency, resulting in an increase in the amount of harvested fish. Traders from the fields purchased the fish that are caught. Despite a slight decrease in price compared to last year, fish from floating fish farms are still in high demand.
During flooding, we dug ponds to attract fish. At the end of the season, we gather and collect the fish, and then divide them equally. The fish population has been plentiful recently. Last year, the fish helped me earn approximately $5,300.
Field fish farming is a component of the ecological agriculture transformation. People are adopting organic rice growing practices to create a favorable environment for fish farming during the flood season.
Dozens of rare spoonbills have migrated to Xuân Thủy National Park this year in an unexpectedly large number. The International Union for Conservation of Nature, or IUCN, classified the species as endangered. Experts believe that this migration signals that this area is a vital ecosystem with abundant nutrients for the endangered species.
Spoonbills or black-faced spoonbills are both names for these rare species. In the 1990s, they were classified as endangered, indicating they were on the verge of extinction.
This national park is the only area where the endangered species have migrated. Spoonbills recently migrated to the park in large numbers. Therefore, this ecological zone plays an important role for this migratory species.
This species is sensitive. They will find another safe place if we hunt, catch, or trap them. We have seen the number of migrated spoonbills gradually increase in recent years.
Xuân Thủy National Park is a safe and important haven for spoonbills and many other migrating birds and endangered species. Even spoon-billed sandpiper and crested tern have arrived in this area. In 2022, 85 spoonbills were recorded here, of which 4 were from Europe.
Maintaining the national park is a challenging task, requiring the cooperation of the entire community. Nam Dinh province focuses on protecting this national park in both the core and buffer zones.
In 2022, Xuân Thủy National Park was home to more than 150 species of migratory water birds. As the first Ramsar site in Southeast Asia and the core zone of the Red River Delta Biosphere Reserve, the province is completing documents to submit to UNESCO to become one of Vietnam's 12 ASEAN heritage parks.
The Zalai Gong Cultural Festival 2023 is being held in Pleiku City, creating a vibrant cultural atmosphere for ethnic peoples in the Central Highlands. The event is part of Zalai Culture and Tourism Week 2023, which takes place from November 11 to 19, aiming to celebrate the significance of the Gong cultural space in the Central Highlands.
The lively sound of gongs resonating through the mountains and forests serves as the signal to the community, conveying the joy and happiness experienced by a Jarai family when they relocate to a new home.
The Grongpa team has brought a gong performance to this year's festival. We have conducted research and worked diligently to create this performance. We even consulted with our village elders to develop this year's rendition.
The coming-of-age ceremony of the Ede ethnic group in Daklak province captivated both locals and tourists. This ritual has been a part of the Ede people's cultural life for hundreds of years and holds significant meaning.
This ceremony is an opportunity for the Ede people to notify our ancestor that a man in our community has reached maturity and is prepared to provide for his family.
This festival has a wonderful atmosphere. People come together to showcase their cultural performances, with each ethnic group highlighting their unique features. It is truly a sight to behold.
Artisans from the Zhe Chiang, Mnong, Ma and Kaha peoples of Kon Tum, Daklak and Lamdong provinces also performed captivating gong performances. Visitors can immerse themselves in the cheerful and lively atmosphere of the festival while appreciating the genuine, rustic yet essential folk art values of the Central Highlands' diverse peoples.
Coming up next in our world news. United Nations urges immediate humanitarian ceasefire in Gaza. And IEA raises oil demand forecast for 2023 and 2024. The United Nations is calling for an immediate humanitarian ceasefire in the Gaza Strip. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres expressed deep concern about the dire situation in Gaza's hospital during a news conference on Tuesday, according to spokesman Stefan Dujarric. Currently, medical facilities in Gaza are facing electricity shortages and an increasing number of casualties from Israeli airstrikes. In response to the escalating conflict, the United Nations Relief and Works Agency for Palestinian Refugees and the World Health Organization have announced a ceasefire and withdrawal from Gaza. These actions were taken following the Israeli army's deployment of fighter aircraft and warships to target over 200 locations in the Gaza Strip on Tuesday night. Meanwhile, Israel claims to have seized most of Hamas headquarters in central Gaza City during a ground offensive. North Korea successfully tested new solid fuel engines for intermediate-range ballistic missiles, according to state-run media on Wednesday. The first stage engine was ground-tested on Saturday, followed by the testing of the second stage engine on Tuesday. These tests demonstrate the reliability and stability of North Korea's high-thrust solid fuel engine design and manufacturing technologies. It is believed that these experiments are crucial for further enhancing the strategic offensive capabilities of North Korean forces. The International Energy Agency, or IEA, has revised its oil demand growth forecast for this year and next year, despite slower economic growth in most major economies. The IEA now predicts oil demand growth of 2.4 million barrels per day for this year, coming closer to OPEC's forecast of 2.46 million barrels per day. For 2024, the IEA has raised its forecast to 930,000 barrels per day, which is significantly lower than OPEC's forecast of 2.25 million barrels per day. The IEA also notes that the market could shift into surplus at the beginning of 2024, as it has been in a significant deficit due to voluntary cuts from Saudi Arabia and Russia, which will continue until the end of December. There is a small town called VTVgo, situated approximately 250 kilometers north of the Italian capital, Rome. In this town, people do not value worldly beauty. Instead, they celebrate those who may not possess conventional beauty. More in the following story.
The World Association of Ugly People was founded in the town of VTVgo over 100 years ago. Anyone, whether beautiful or ugly, can become a member. Currently, the association has approximately 35,000 members worldwide.
Our motto is, ugliness is a virtue, beauty is slavery. We are against the obsession with beauty and the discrimination against those who do not fit conventional beauty standards. We value inner beauty.
I'm ugly, but I can't do anything to change it, so I'm proud of my appearance.
In reality, Daniele Isabettini, who is now 58 years old, did not always look the way he does now. In the early 1990s, he was injured in a serious car accident. He had to undergo multiple facial surgeries and lost one of his legs.
I want to keep the title of Italy's ugliest person because it brings me happiness. Winning this title has improved my life. I have been invited to attend TV shows, events, and parties because people are curious to learn more about me.
Every year in September, the town of VTVgo holds the Festival of the Ugly. This 3-day festival includes singing, dancing, and serving lots of delicious food. This year marks the 5th consecutive year that Daniele Isabettini has won the Italy's Ugliest Person contest.
Now, before we say goodbye, let's take a look at the weather forecast. That is it for this news bulletin. To rewatch our program, you can download our mobile app VTVgo or check out our YouTube channel VTV4Go. Thank you for watching and see you next time.